Another issue in business is social responsibility. And Milton Friedman has been widely misquoted and has been the excuse that most business people give for unethical behavior. And the misquote he has thought to have said that a corporation's responsibility is solely to return a profit to the shareholders. That's the only interest in charitable contributions. That's up to the shareholders to do with the profits. Managing the company, that's in the interest of the shareholders. And because of that, some companies have determined that I can do anything I want as long as it's profitable. What he really said, because I actually went up and looked up the article, is it's the responsibility to conduct business according to the owner's desires, not solely to make a profit for the owners. So obviously owners want to make a profit, but the owners also want the company to behave responsibly, and the profit needs to be made both legally and ethically. So it's business's responsibility to return a profit to the shareholders at any cost. It's business's responsibility to respond to the wishes of its owners and hopefully to deliver a profit in a legal and ethical manner. That makes a little more sense. Which leads us to the idea of social responsibility, getting back into the sustainability stakeholders concept. In order to have a sustainable business, you need to have customers, employees, communities, all healthy and sustainable. And there is a new corporate structure that is gaining traction. It's called the B Corp or Benefit Corporation. And a benefit corporation is actually a kind of a change in philanthropy. We're moving from me giving my money to you as a not-for-profit to do good work, and it's more me loaning my money to you, a benefit corporation, to do good work, but I want my money back at some point. And a benefit corporation is a structure that allows a business to have both profit and social responsibility goals. And this, we talked, I think, about this earlier. This was to protect situations like when Ben & Jerry's tried to sell their company. Ben & Jerry's was a very ethical-oriented company, and when it came time to sell the company, they wanted to sell to the company that, to the buyer that best matched their culture. And they had an offer from a company that was not the best match for their culture, but was worth more money. And they could have been sued by their shareholders for taking that offer, because that would not have been in the shareholders' best interest to sell it to a company for less money than they could have gotten. So the idea of a B corporation is it's legitimate to have two goals. One, to make money for your shareholders, and the other is to do some other social good, and both of them can be legitimate goals for the corporation. Okay. Another issue in social responsibility is environmental stewardship. And this is an area where we're gaining more momentum. Up until recently, and ironically in the United States, people are less willing to pay a premium for green products than people in other parts of the world. But the proportion of people who are willing to pay a premium for green products is increasing. And with the environmental sustainability, you get some issues with is it the deontological or the teleological? Is it the intent or the consequences that matter? So for example, if I'm a business and I install efficient lighting, which reduces my energy consumption by 30% and saves me $1 million, should I get credit for being environmentally conscious, or was that just a good business decision? Both. I just, if I put solar panels on my roof and it cost me an additional $1 million a year to have solar energy for my factory, would I get credit for being socially responsible? Absolutely. So the question is being, the efficient use of resources is an important business concept. Money is a resource, other resources are a resource, and it makes sense not to waste resources. The good news is increasing evidence that because people of your generation are interested in businesses that act ethically, that a company that is perceived as being environmentally sustainable oriented has an advantage in attracting promising candidates for their job. And then in marketing, green marketing is where you use environmental friendliness as your unique selling proposition, or as, we haven't talked about that yet, as your point of differentiation. And there's a concept called greenwashing. And greenwashing is where you spend more money talking about how environmentally conscious you are than you do being environmentally conscious. So I might pay $10 for a solar panel and then shoot a $30,000 video watching me install the solar panel to show how environmentally conscious I am. Which is anything by PG&E. Sorry. I apologize to the good folks at PG&E. Please don't turn off the power. Another area in business, social responsibility, diversity. This is the conscious act of including people of difference as employees and as customers. And again, this is just good business. The more diverse opinion you have in your business, the more likely you are to be able to connect with customers who have diverse opinions. The world is becoming more diverse. The big issue is, I call it centrism, egocentrism. It's easier for me to see the value in people who look like me, talk like me, and feel like me. It's harder for me to see the value in people who look different than me, that talk different than me, and have different beliefs than me. So there needs to be an effort to go beyond egocentrism and looking to see the value in people for what they contribute. And that's not easy to do. There's a big issue right now with implicit racism, where people like me are racists without even knowing it. It's just born with us. So again, it requires an effort to get beyond people who look like me are good and people who don't look like me are not so good, and just looking for objective criteria. It's interesting, I used to be involved in music a little bit, and in music there was very much discrimination in professional musicians against women and minorities. And as a response to that, many professional musical organizations now do what they call blind auditions. Is when you audition, you're behind a screen so they can't see who you are. And only after they have heard you play and evaluated your playing do they find out who the person is, as a way to, again, make the decision based on objective criteria rather than subjective or implicit bias.